Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, a few months ago, Toyota finally put out a diesel engine into its sedan range, putting an oil burner into the Altis. But does it have what it takes to stand out in a truly crowded market? Here's Sirish's verdict.
This car, the Toyota Corolla Altis diesel, is the complete antithesis of everything that I stand for. In a biggish car, it's got a 1.4 litre diesel engine. Come on, Indicas and i20s have 1.4 diesel engines. What is such a small engine doing in such a big car? But Bert and Sandeep tell me that this car is actually quite good. Well, in isolation it might be good, but what happens when you compare it against its bigger engine and bigger lunged rivals? That's what we're going to find out today. Now, the main talking point about the Corolla is the diesel engine, and at 1.4 litres, it is the smallest engine you will find in this class or size of car. But that said, let's deal with the positives first. First things first is refinement. This engine is so silent, so smooth, and so tractable that it is easy to forget that this is a diesel engine. Of course, with just 88 PS of power, performance is well leisurely. It takes 14.63 seconds to 100, which is a long time. But trust me, the gearing is so well matched to the engine that in the city, you rarely notice that it is a 1.4 litre engine. In fact, it deals with the city very, very well. And it's a very comfortable and a very easy car to drive. And it also has very good ride quality. The rear seat space is good, so it's a good car to be chauffeur driven in. But, and you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? This car is not an enthusiast car. This is not a car that you'd buy if you enjoy driving. And, well, just look at the car. It just looks very boring. And I, for one, won't be caught driving this car. Now, I know what you're thinking. What is the Octavia diesel doing here in this test? Well, fact is, despite being 10 years old, the Octavia is still on sale in India and it is still at the same price as the Corolla diesel. And that's why it is here in this test. So what we like about this car? Well, for starters, despite being 10 years old, the ride and handling is still quite good. It is still an engaging car to drive and it is still a comfortable car, especially for the driver. The engine, again 10 years old, but it still has good flexibility and it doesn't have too much turbo lag. You step on it and it does go, and it's got better performance than the Corolla diesel. Now, what do we not like in this car? Well, it is 10 years old and it definitely feels 10 years old inside the cabin. It does look dated, it does look old, it is a bit boring. And then there's the overall mechanical refinement. The engine is a bit noisy, there's too much outside noise coming inside the car, the steering feels heavy, it does feel dated, it does feel old. We have two Skodas in this test, the Octavia and the Laura. Now obviously the Laura is the new Octavia as is sold in the rest of the world, but in India both continue side by side. Now the Laura is one of our favorite cars in this segment, particularly for its ride and handling balance. In terms of outright ride, the Corolla diesel does have the edge, but in terms of striking that balance between a compliant ride and involving handling, the Laura is perfect. It also has a good engine option list. It's got a 110 PS diesel with a manual gearbox and a 140 PS engine with the DSG gearbox. And the DSG gearbox is really sweet. But then there's a downside. The rear seat space isn't as luxurious. It's not as plush as, say, the Corolla diesel. And judging by the number of emails and calls that we get to the effect, Skoda's after-sales service still needs some work. We still get too many complaints about Skoda dealers, and that's just not on in this day and age. Are you on the lookout for a car that looks good, really good? Well, the Cruise is just the car for you. No other car in this test cuts such a striking shape, both outside as well as inside. Secondly, if you are a speed junkie, Well, I don't think you should be looking at any other car apart from the Cruise. She's got a 150 horsepower diesel engine and that gives her explosive performance. 100 comes up in under 10 seconds, 9.23 seconds to be precise, and that is super quick. She's also a comfortable car, the suspension is soft and she rides quite well. And again, this engine, okay, it's got a lot of power, but it also has a lot of turbo lag. So in terms of refinement and the ease of driving this engine, I think the Corolla diesel would score slightly better than this. Now when I'm going home, I'll be going home in the Cruise, and that's because I really like this car. It looks great from the outside as well as from the inside, and it has got a stonking 150 horsepower engine. It's got great power. People will tell you that it's got a lot of turbo lag, but I say better have turbo lag followed by a lot of power than have no turbo lag at all and no power. But if you're thinking sensibly, if you're thinking with your head, if you're counting every single rupee you're going to spend, well, this will be the car for you. Okay, there is still no replacement for displacement and it is not a great fun car to drive, but most buyers in this segment will be sitting at the back, and this car is very comfortable, it is very refined, it is very frugal, and it is the cheapest car that you can buy here. So think logically, think sensibly, and the Corolla diesel is the winner in this test. And I'm surprised I am saying that.